Studio Ghibli has been enchanting audiences with its whimsical worlds and deep stories for a long time. Now, the studio is releasing a new short film, Meijo no Tani no Yoru, A Night in the Valley of Witches. The film will have its exclusive premiere at Ghibli Park on July 8, 2026, and will be co-directed by Goro Miyazaki and Akihiko Yamashita. This original piece marks the first short created for the park's attractions. The announcement arrives at a pivotal moment for Goro Miyazaki, whose directorial path has often invited scrutiny due to his father, Hayao Miyazaki's towering legacy. From the 2006 debut with Tales from Earthsea to later efforts like From Up on Poppy Hill and Earwig and the Witch, Goro has navigated high expectations while carving subtle distinctions in tone and focus. This piece analyzes how this short from Goro Miyazaki could be his most impressive work yet. With production complete and directors slated for a special premiere discussion, the work stands as more than mere content. It represents a deliberate step toward redefining Goro's and Ghibli's creative autonomy. Goro Miyazaki, The Weight of Legacy and Early Struggles. Goro Miyazaki stepped into feature directing, facing real pressure from the start. His 2006 adaptation of Ursula K. Le Guin's Tales from Earthsea split critics and longtime fans sharply, with many judging it directly against the lyrical depth his father had brought to earlier films. The movie delivered striking fantasy sequences and strong visual scale, but plenty of viewers flagged uneven pacing and a noticeably darker tone that drifted away from the gentle warmth people had come to expect from Ghibli. Hayao Miyazaki voiced his doubts in public, which only added to the personal and professional strain hanging over the whole project. That first effort laid bare just how tough it could be to make one's mark inside a studio built around one dominant creative force. Side-by-side comparisons felt unavoidable, as audiences kept looking for the same sweeping journeys or thoughtful takes on nature and humanity. Goro leaned into quieter character moments placed against vast landscapes, showing genuine potential even as the work exposed the difficulties of stepping into a well-known style before fully mastering its finer points. Later projects started to reveal clearer signs of progress. Though Tales from Earthsea drew the heaviest criticism, the experience highlighted Goro's readiness to wrestle with demanding stories drawn from established books. The mixed reaction turned into a turning point, pushing him to rethink questions of scale, teamwork, and emotional closeness, factors that went on to shape his following films and his eventual move into designing attractions at the park. Rebuilding through collaboration and smaller scales. Goro's path took a clearer turn with From Up on Poppy Hill, back in 2011. Co-scripted by his father, the film settled into a more grounded, nostalgic feel focused on post-war young people, hidden family matters, and the urge to hold on to the past. Its unhurried pace and careful rendering of everyday places won gentler praise, bringing out Goro's real skill with intimate stories and the quiet beauty of buildings and streets. Reviewers noted a growing directorial confidence, one that stepped back from grand fantasy and leaned instead into measured emotion. Earwig and the Witch in 2020 pushed things further as Ghibli's first full CGI feature. It drew mixed reactions for breaking from the usual hand-drawn look, yet it showed Goro's willingness to try new methods while still holding on to familiar storytelling instincts. Neither film was seen as an outright classic. However, together they gradually strengthened his standing as someone who could carry Ghibli's spirit forward on his own terms, not just as an extension of his father. At the same time, Goro's work shaping Ghibli Park as its lead designer opened up a different side of his abilities. Drawing on his earlier training in landscape architecture, he turned his favorite Ghibli settings into real, walk-through spaces that blended physical surroundings with the feeling of stepping into a story. Creating areas like the Valley of Witches gave him room to build immersion in ways that movies by themselves could never quite manage. Walking through those streets at dusk, feeling the textures underfoot and hearing the faint sounds of the park settling into the evening, turns passive viewers into participants. The short film now layers moving images and subtle magic onto those same physical spaces so that visitors can step from the real cobblestones straight into the animated night. It creates a loop where the park feeds the story and the story, in turn, deepens the park, something no screen alone has ever offered Goro before. A Night in the Valley of Witches, freedom on his own terms. In Meijo no Tani no Yoru, many of the usual limits that once weighed on Goro seem to have fallen away. The short format forces a tight focus, letting the piece concentrate on atmosphere and quiet magic instead of carrying the heavy expectations that come with a full-length feature. Sharing directing duties with Akihiko Yamashita, a longtime Ghibli hand who worked on key sequences in Howl's Moving Castle and other classics, brings steady experience into the mix without crowding out Goro's own ideas. Most importantly, the story takes place inside a world Goro helped bring to life for the park itself. The Valley of Witches, which opened in 2024, turns familiar enchanted settings from the films into real streets and buildings visitors can walk through. By bringing those same places to life at night in animation, the short connects the physical park directly to fresh storytelling, turning guests into part of an expanding Ghibli world. This arrangement quietly sets aside the external pressures that shaped earlier projects, the push for worldwide box office numbers, the long grind of feature production, and the complicated father-son script conversations. What remains is something more personal, a compact tale that grew straight out of the environment Goro helped design. In the end, A Night in the Valley of Witches stands as Goro Miyazaki's most meaningful project so far, from all indications. The short not only lets him step clear of old shadows and the usual demands of theatrical releases, but it also offers him the chance to present himself to the world anew.